So, tell me about yourself. The best way to answer this is to actually open with something personal and a funny anecdote. Now, here's what you don't want to do. You're not going off some long story. They're not asking you this to say, how many kids do you have? How many pets do you have? What state do you live in? No. This isn't about your life story. Hey guys, it's Shama Hyder, and I wanted to address a question that at some point in your life, I promise you will have to answer if you are ever interviewing for a job or really any type of position, even board positions, so forth. And it's this question, okay? It's, so tell me about yourself. And before I tell you exactly the formula, the perfect way to answer this question that will impress any employer and put you heads and tails ahead of the pack, I want to tell you why employers ask this question. And I'm sharing this perspective with you from an employer's perspective, right? So as CEO of Zen Media, I do tons of interviews. I interview people all the time. I really like interviewing still because I feel like people who are entering our company, that culture is important. So until we hit like our 1,000th employee, I'm going to do my best to interview people. And so here's the honest truth of why I start interviews often with, so tell me about yourself. And here it is, okay? It's an easy question for the interviewer. That's the only reason most interviewers are asking it. It's an easy way to start a conversation, right? You don't jump in and say, so tell me about, your salary expectations, or tell me, why did you apply for this position? People as human beings, and in an interview, right? We are still human beings. They're trying to set up that camaraderie. You're trying to set up a relationship, the cadence for this interview. What direction is this interview really going to go in? And believe it or not, the interviewee has a lot more power than the interviewer, okay? So when I'm sitting there and I ask this question, it's because I'm trying to open a conversation. I'm trying to see I am trying to get a sense of someone's personality, and I'm trying to see how will they answer this in the best way possible. And now I'm going to give you the formula. And if you ever interview with me and you answer it this way, I'll know you watched it. But I promise you this will impress interviewers, all right? So when someone asks you, so tell me about yourself, the best way to answer this is to actually open with something personal and a funny anecdote. Now, here's what you don't want to do. You're not going off some long story. They're not asking you this to say, how many kids do you have? How many pets do you have? What state do you live in? No. This isn't about your life story, but it is an icebreaker. And it's important to acknowledge this and put the interviewer in a comfortable position too, right? So as an interviewee, if you can make the interviewer comfortable, if you can get them to relax and say, okay, this is going to be an easy flowing conversation, you have the upper hand. So what you want to do is start with a quick little personal anecdote, something that they can think of when they think of you. Remember, they're interviewing maybe hundreds, thousands of people. So if you say something funny or something that differentiates you, like maybe, I could tell you about how I spent my morning chasing my 3-month-old puppy around, right? Or I could tell you about the time I helped my high school team win the championship, right, at roller derby or whatever it is. Something kind of quirky, something fun, something that shows your personality a little bit. Well, I could tell you about the book I'm, binge reading right now. I could tell you about, my favorite podcast. But, and this is where you sort of pivot. So you open it up, and in a way that's personal, that's fun, that's fresh, right? So it piques their interest. Well, what's this about? You've created intrigue. So you say, well, I could tell you about this. Something personal, positive, fun. And then you say, but let me answer this in a professional context. This acknowledges, this shows that you're acknowledging that the question they're really asking, that you're really here to talk about a professional context, right? They're not looking for your life story. So yes, you're an interesting person, you do fun things, and, right, you're answering their question in a way that really speaks to the heart of something. Now, when you've pivoted to that, keep these 3 P's in mind: past, present, and future. So you want to start a little bit, you want to start from the beginning, if you will. Now, given beginning being whatever's within the context of this position. So if you're a 20-year career veteran, don't go all the way to the start maybe, but start where it's relevant. So you could say, well, in my previous position, I was working at an agency, and my first year there, I helped close $2 million in business. And then I was working with a client I loved. They recruited me to come work for them in-house. I've absolutely loved it. I helped sell and close our biggest client to date. The company's been around for 25 years, and I helped land a really exciting client working with my team. And, I've had a great time. And now I'm looking to expand into more marketing. I've got a great sales background. I'm really excited about this opportunity. And when I read your job description or whatever it is, it really intrigued me that you're offering this opportunity. And again, guys, I'm giving you sort of broad framework, right? Speak to the ad, speak to the job description. So as you pivot, remember, you're talking past, where you started, your achievement, your present, where you are right now, and then you're pivoting it to the future, right? Which ideally links it back to them. So, what I'm really excited about is that this position, it seems like, would allow me the opportunity to explore the marketing side of things, which I haven't. I've done more the sales side of things or whatever it is. So you answer it in a full circle way. What this does is it also gives the interviewer now think about this like throwing a ball back and forth, right? They've thrown you a ball, you've caught it, you've answered it, and now you're throwing it back. You want to keep that conversation going naturally. So now you're bringing it back to their job ad, their position, which allows them to say, oh, I'm so glad you said that. Yes, that's right. We really are, this position is very much geared towards marketing, right? And then you move on. So this is such a great question, and you'll hear it so many times in life. It's always this, right? Tell me about yourself. And it can feel so daunting. What you don't want to do is one, not be prepared. So have your answer. You don't have to rehearse it a million times, but know the general context of what you're going to share, right? Don't sit there and ah about it. Don't say, well, I could tell you about, boy, what do you want to know, right? Or, well, I was born in Michigan and then I moved to California, right? What you really want to focus in on is what they're asking, which really it's very simple. One, they're giving you a softball. It's an easy way to open a conversation. Do you have personality? What kind of person are you? When you share that, when you open with that intriguing, something fun, something curious, something quirky is totally fine. Now don't go too offbeat, right? You don't want to go way off color here, but something within the realms of PG-13 is totally fine. And it just creates that connection with the interviewer. It may be something that really speaks to who you are as a person, but you don't stay there. You just share that little bit, and then you acknowledge that really what they're looking for is the professional context. So here it is. Here's where you started the journey. Here's where you are right now, and bring it back again to them. Here's where you are looking, forward-thinking, future. Here's why this stuff is so key, guys. Interviewers, and I'll tell you, I'm guilty of this, we make up our mind very quickly. I can have a very quick sense of what someone's like. And these, they're not always the right impressions. I'm not saying it's always right, but you do feel, people do rely a lot on gut instinct and saying, do I click with this person? Does this person feel like they would be a good culture fit? And then everything else in that interview that follows, they're either validating how they felt, or you're really creating that friction where they were like, man, I thought this, but now it's going in a different direction. What you want to do is set the tone really positive and keep it positive, where they feel like, hey, this is a cool candidate. I'm enjoying this conversation. And then they see more and more that makes them feel more positive about you. So this is really important. Tell me about yourself. And by the way, quick fun tip, when you follow up, and please, tell me you follow up. You always send a thank you, all right? Regardless of, whether you had a great interview, terrible interview, always send a thank you note. It can be an email, just send a thank you, thanking someone for their time. It matters, it makes you stand out. And in that thank you note, you can definitely reference whatever it was that you mentioned, that quirky thing, Hey, interviewer X, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciated learning more about the opportunity. I know you probably talked to a million people, right? I was the one with the puppies. Whatever it is, something that gets that interviewer to say, okay, I remember that. That was fun. That was quirky. What you're really trying to do here is be memorable. And what I really want you to do is nab that job. And I promise if you do this, you will be head and shoulders above the other guys. Hope it was helpful. Hi there, this is Shama Hyder again. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I super appreciate it. Please share if you find this information valuable. Do comment. I love hearing from you. And be sure to subscribe. That way you don't miss a single thing.